Alright, welcome back guys, or welcome if this is your first time here. I'm Vision here with Blind Entertainment, bringing you guys another video. Today I'm going to be giving you guys my review of The 100, Season 5, Episode 4, Pandora's Box. Now if that's something you're interested in, don't forget to subscribe down below and hit the bell icon, that way you don't miss any future videos or reviews on The 100 moving forward. Now let's begin. Alright, now to start off this review, I'm just going to say this probably wasn't my favorite episode of this season so far. And it's not that this episode was bad, or just that it was just the fact that the story was way too predictable, because we knew that Bellamy would make a deal with the prisoners. We knew that Kane would most likely survive and the people in the bunker would get out probably at the last minute. And we knew the fact that the prisoners would probably double cross them in the end. And just for that reason, the fact that it was way too predictable, yeah, they threw in a couple kind of curveballs with them wanting Abby and stuff, but still, it just came off as way too predictable. And it just, I don't know, something about the fact that it was way too predictable rubbed me the wrong way, and just, I didn't enjoy the episode as much as I should have, just due to the fact that it was way too predictable. But getting into the review, we start this episode off with Bellamy working with Colonel Diozzo, trying to, make a deal and kind of come to an agreement to help him get the people out of the bunker. And they ultimately come to an agreement due to the fact that they had their people, and they allow him to go see Clark. And I like what they did there between the two of them during the negotiations between Colonel Diozza and Bellamy, because I feel like that was kind of like one of those meetings where you sit down and you got like the head honcho being the Colonel Diozza, and then Bellamy kind of the person that is kind of making a deal, but he doesn't know what he's getting himself into. And I feel like that was a good kind of show of power between the two of them, because Bellamy thinks he has the upper hand. Meanwhile, he doesn't really know that Colonel Diozza is like a couple steps ahead of him. She's a military strategist, so she's ahead of him. So I really like how they played that kind of meeting off between the two of them. So back to like what I was saying, they let him go and free Clark, and they have that reunion. Now I know a bunch of fans are loving the reunion, and I'm sorry, I know this probably is just me not shipping Bark, but I really didn't like that reunion. I think the reunion at the end of the last episode was really good. However, the reunion in this episode just came off to me as really shoving it down your throat and really pushing the whole Bellamy and Clark relationship, which I don't ship them. It's fine if you do, I just don't ship them, and I just don't like shipping. And I just want them to be friends. And for that reason, it just came off too forced, and the reunion just didn't hit me as it should have. However, the reunion that I really did like at this scene was when Raven and Murphy realized that Clark was alive. Now, that one was a really good, strong kind of reunion, even though it was just over the walkie-talkie. I liked that reunion a lot better than I liked the Bellamy and Clark one. And I really actually also liked the little dig that Murphy said, saying that everybody calls him the cockroach. I really like that one. That was a good kind of Murphy moment. And yes, I know it's just probably me not shipping Bellamy and Clark, but I just really didn't like their reunion. It just came off as too forced and trying to just shoving it in your face that people want these two characters together, and it just really rubbed me the wrong way. And I just really didn't really like the scene, and I just kind of hope they don't do too many more of these scenes moving forward in season 4. Next, we got Kane and the bunker, and we pick right off where episode 2 left off. Now, my biggest con here is I like the fight scene. However, I didn't like how they kind of brushed over the fact that Kane can somewhat fight, because I feel like that was a really missed opportunity, especially with episode 2, if they didn't focus so much on the whole mutiny and Jaha. Again, I'm still mad that Jaha's dead. And if they just focused a little more on over the years, I know they're saving some of that for I think it's episode 10, Dark Year. So I'm very interested to see what they do with that. But moving on, we got Kane, and I really like what they did there. He wins, and he just goes all crazy on this one dude that he kills at the end. And you got Octavia and Gaia, and Gaia asks Octavia, did he like win? Did he deserve to survive? And Octavia says no. Now, I really like that, because this goes to show that just because you win the gladiator fight doesn't mean that you automatically win your freedom. I like that because that just didn't make sense at the end of the second episode. So I really like that they added that information in because it really was confusing. Because like if a hardened murderer or criminal does something and they actually win the battle, I feel like that's a bad, like, if, and they can walk free. That's just a whole bad situation there. So I'm glad that they added this whole scene in here. And you got Kane being taken away, and you got Octavia and him having this conversation, and you got Kane and her talking back and forth, and you got Kane being his philosophical self, trying to tell her we gotta be better than who we become. We gotta live with what we've done pretty much. And I like these scenes. I always love Kane. I really hope he doesn't die this season. Kane's probably the one character that is probably my favorite out of all of them. He's my one favorite character, and I really hope they don't do anything to him this season. But I really like what they did there. And during this conversation, we get the first name drop of the Dark Year. And I'm very interested to see what goes on there, because I don't know if it's confirmed the title, but I think one of the episodes for season 5 is titled The Dark Year, which is where we'll probably learn more about that. I don't know if it's a confirmed title yet. I'll get back to you on that if I find out that information later. But we got that information. I really like that scene between the two of them. Just, I got Kane trying to bring Octavia back to the light, and she's just gone down this dark path, and she's not hearing it. And then you got Indra taking Kane to see Abby and realize that Abby's the one who should have been in the gladiator pit, and it's her fault that he's there. He took the blame for her stealing medicine, and we learned that Abby has developed a drug addiction. And I really like this. I really like this kind of storyline. I'm very interested to see the background behind it and what effect it has on Abby this season. I know a lot of people don't like Abby, and they don't like her because she halts kind of some of the decisions Clark makes. However, I really like Abby, and I think you need that kind of character in the story. So now I've never really had a problem with Abby, but I really like what they're doing for this season. And you got the two of them talking. You got Indra telling Abby, you got to talk him into fighting, because after his conversation with Octavia, he decides he doesn't want to fight, and he's just going to go into the pit and surrender. And you got the two of them having this back and forth. You got her trying to talk him into fighting, and Kane's just gotten to this point where he sees that they've gone down this dark path, and he doesn't like who they've become. He's let his guard down for too long, and he just doesn't see the point of it anymore. And then you got Indra saying, it's time to go, time for the next fight. Now, I got two problems with this scene. One, at the end of the first gladiator fight, you had Octavia saying he's going to fight tomorrow. Yet, it feels like not enough time has passed for it to be the next day. So I'm going to have to dock it on a few points for just consistency in the storytelling. And two, they have this moment with Kane and Abby, which it was okay. It was not like I'm that crazy. It's not like I ship Kane and Abby. I like their relationship, but it's not like I really am into it. And you got the two of them having this moment, and it really frustrated me, that moment, because you got Indra saying it's time to go, but they hang there for like a couple minutes. Now, if this was real life, a bunch of guards would drag Kane out, and I wish they had done that, because it would just been more realistic, and I just didn't like how that scene played out. But then you got Kane being brought into the gladiator pit, about to fight, and he refuses to fight his other opponent, who Indra picked to be weaker so Kane could fight, and he begins giving this big speech, but Octavia isn't having any of it, and she goes down and pretty much threatens to kill Kane, and Kane is just not having it. He's saying, then you're gonna have to kill me, and you got Octavia just about to kill him, and at that last moment you have Bellamy and them arriving in the bunker, and you got that reunion between Octavia and Bellamy. I really like that reunion. That was a good, strong reunion between the two of them. And then you got Octavia and Clark reunion. I really like that reunion too, because it was just a good kind of reunion between the two of them. And I really like how they reunited the friends. That was a good reunion. And I just like how they had that scene between the two of them. And this is a good scene. You had two of them reunite, and then you go to a commercial. And I really like how they did that. Good playoff on when to use a commercial, in my opinion. And I just really like how they had those scenes play out. So then we got Octavia meeting Colonel Dioza, and she doesn't totally trust her right away. and you got them helping each one of them up. And my biggest con right away here is Octavia's the first one to go up. Now she's the leader, and I feel like she should have sent someone else up, like Indra, Kane, or not Kane, or Miller, someone like that, to check out, make sure everything's safe. She's the captain. She should have gone up last. That's just my opinion. But then you got them all going back up, and you got the whole Colonel Dioza and McCreary talking, and you realize that they want Abby, and we found out earlier that they want a doctor to treat them, and I'm very interested to see what's going on with them, why they're sick, what's going on with them. And Colonel Diaz ends up kind of having this big standoff between the Warner crew and her people. And again, this felt forced and just didn't. I felt like they could have done this somewhat differently. And she threatens to kill everybody if anybody moves, and unless they get the doctor. And Abby shows up, hands herself over, and this is my biggest con of the entire episode when it comes to Octavia. And this really ticked me off of Octavia's character in this episode, is that Abby hands herself over to the Colonel, and you got Octavia saying, "Of course you do, you traitor." And this is what I hated. Her calling her a traitor really ticked me off, because Abby just saved their lives, and she's still holding on to old grudges. It just pissed me off in a sense, and I just hated what they did there. And I like how they had that reunion between her and Clark, but it was short-lived. That was a good thing to do. And then you got them taking Abby, and you got one of the prisoners taking the weapon and just blowing up and killing one of Warner Crew's members, and it just ignites an entire war between the two of them. And you got the colonel saying that we just started a war, and she wants to send off a missile into the crowd for mining. And you got Shaw telling her that's not a good deal, and he soon finds out that Raven has locked him out, so they have to return back to the big ship, and they have to go do it from there. And you got Octavia on the ground being helped up, and you got her declaring an act of war. So I really like how they ended it. Just a little bit, felt a little bit forced and just unnecessary in my opinion, but good, strong ending. I still gotta take off points for it being too predictable, but I did like what they did with the episode overall. Last, let's talk about Murphy and Raven, because I am 50-50 on what they did with them. I like that we got some of them this episode. I feel like we didn't totally need them, but I like what we got, because we got the two of them forming a friendship. I hope they don't turn this into a love kind of thing, nor do I hope Raven and Shaw form a relationship. I don't like that idea either. And you got the two of them working together, and you get this kind of name drop again for Aegis, the third one, Aegis 3, and you find out that Raven's locked out of it. So I'm interested to see what goes on with them. And you got them ultimately having to free and wake up all the prisoners after the colonel threatens to blow out to open up all the airlocks and kill them all. So I really like that. It just felt a little bit forced, and I don't know. I feel like their scenes weren't totally needed, but they were okay with what we got. I'm interested to see what they do with the next episode, with them going back to the ship and what's going to happen with them. I think I still am holding on to one of these characters is dying this season, and I'm interested to see what goes on with them moving forward in season 4. But all in all, I think, like I said, this is a good episode, strong, okay episode. Definitely not my favorite, but definitely just a good, decent episode overall. So yeah, guys, that's my review of the 100 Season 5, Episode 4, Pandora's Box. If you like this video, give it a big thumbs up and share. And don't forget to subscribe down below and hit the bell icon, that way you don't miss any future videos or reviews on the 100 moving forward. This has been Vision here with Blind Entertainment, and I will see you next time.